Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Senior Fellow at the Media Research Center. Today is a very special day in the United States of America. And to remember this day, I want to talk about the man from the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia. See, I was born and raised in that neighborhood. It's a downtown neighborhood in Atlanta, and it's a very historic neighborhood. My dad moved with my mom to the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in 1959, and they bought their house. And I remember when my dad, a corporal from the United States Army in World War II, sat me down on the steps of 651 Kennesaw Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. And at the age of 15, he challenged me to be the first officer in our family. But I remember how my dad, a man from the old Fourth Ward, taught me all of these incredible lessons about being a man, about standing up for something, about believing in something, about having a commitment of service to this great United States of America. And here was a man that was born in 1920, at a time when it was probably not really good to be a black in South Georgia. But that's okay, because he always taught me that this was one of the greatest nations that the world has ever known. And he taught me that this was a nation that would provide opportunity if you had the drive and determination to do so. He taught me that what was all about being a man was about the fact that sometimes you get knocked down, but the measure of who you are is how many times you get back up. And when I think about him, my dad, this week will be his birthday. It would have been his 99th. And I remember him because where I am today is because of the challenges, because of the principles, because of the values that he set forth in me, and the investments he made in my having a good quality education early on. But he decided, along with my mom, to send me to a small black Catholic school in Atlanta, Georgia by the name of Our Lady of Lourdes. It was the oldest black Catholic parish in the city. And Our Lady of Lourdes, it's in the old Fourth Ward neighborhood, and it's located right across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church. And as a matter of fact, in the backside of Our Lady of Lourdes is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthplace. See, I grew up playing kickball during recess, and if you had a really strong kick, you could put that ball over the wall and it would end up in Dr. King's childhood home backyard. But what was even more impressive was the fact that every single day, walking to school, you walk past his final resting spot. You saw this incredible man, a man from the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia, who talked about character.
And just as I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
He wanted character to be the thing that would set us apart in America, not the color of one's skin. He was a man that talked about the strength of family, a man that talked about the future for a young person like me coming out of the old Fourth Ward. See, on this birthday remembrance of Dr. King, I think that it's important for us to reflect back on who he was and what he represented, and some of the things that I don't think he would agree with today that are happening in the black community. I think that Dr. King, if he was still alive, he would have been marching in the March for Life last week. Because when you consider the fact that since 1973 in Roe versus Wade, nearly 18 million black babies have been murdered in the womb of black mothers, I think Dr. King would stand against that. Furthermore, how many Dr. Kings may have been, had their lives cut short before they could even take their first breath? When you look at the fact that when I was born in the old Fourth Ward neighborhood and grew up there in 1961, the two-parent traditional black family was at 75, 77%. It was quite high. But today, that statistic is down to 24%. See, I think that those two men from the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia, my dad and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., would not be happy with some of the things that they would see. Because one of the things that they taught me, both of them, directly and indirectly, was about individual responsibility and accountability. What it was about growing up and having your own and working hard and creating your own opportunities for yourself, not being dependent upon others. And I think that those are some of the things that we should remember in this week. And I will remember those lessons because of those two men whose birthdays are in this exact same week. Sadly, I lost my dad in 1986 at the age of 66. He died from a massive stroke. But I will never forget this incredible day, 31 July 1982, at the University of Tennessee, Stokely Athletic Center, when on my right shoulder there stood my dad, on my left shoulder my mom, Elizabeth Thomas West. They pinned on the gold bars of a U.S. Army second lieutenant upon me. See, that's what the legacy of those two men from the old Fourth Ward is all about. Enabling someone like me to have grown up from that neighborhood, born and raised in that neighborhood, to walk in their shadows. I can only hope that as we go forward and we remember more Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthdays and celebrations, that we remember truly what he stood for and what he would hope this Black community would become, what he would hope the American community would become. My dad never saw another one of my promotions, but my dad is with me today. And those two men from the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia, had an incredible impact on me. And maybe one day I can be remembered as a man from the old Fourth Ward neighborhood in Atlanta, Georgia. God bless my dad. God bless Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And thank you for the legacy and the lessons that you imparted on me.